Sweet, we have the Hot Topic exclusive Panda Pull. So happy to have that one. That's one that I think I actually had that one already. I think I got it recently.
This is actually the end of my freaking collection. I mean, I've already shown you guys my entire Scooby-Doo collection. We're gonna go ahead.
Today, I asked a bunch of YouTubers to pick out Funko Pops that I need to find. And if I can't, I'm gonna be dropping one of my most expensive Funko Pops.
You fucking stupid bitch!
Which means I really need to find these Pops. And so now, let's find out who's gonna be challenging me.
Whoa! That's right. I'm finally doing my unboxing of over $1,000 worth of Funko Pop Marvel gear. Whoa!
All because I am going over to Hot Topic. They got in a bunch of new figures. I did end up going for that Barney, but it is a great figure. And I think it's based on the original and not the newer animated version. But then again, it's hard to tell when it's a Pop. I'm looking on the back here and I can't really tell. Either way, I am so glad that I got this.
Funko Pops are cringe and gay. They are mounds of plastic shit designed to siphon money out of the wallets of idiots and normies while being as easy to manufacture as possible. They are lacking in any distinctive features. You wouldn't even know who the Funko Pop is supposed to represent half the time if they weren't kept in a box with the character's name on it, as they are in most cases, and their only appeal is, hey, remember X? Functionally, they are ugly bobbleheads that are too cumbersome and generic to be good bobbleheads, but they don't even get used as that because the good goylem needs to make sure that they're in tip-top condition, as they are not just a collector's item, they are an investment for the future. Gold, stock trading, real estate, farmstead for your children you definitely will be having after getting your precious chrome vinyl Funko vasectomy bundle, completely worthless. Omega tier, midwit investments compared to the liquidity, the stability of the future Funko standard economy. Once Israel builds a third temple and World War III is concluded, peasants will be trading at the common market in bottle caps, fidget spinners, spare children, and printouts of rare Pepes and soy jacks. While you, the intelligent Funko fanatic, will stroll in with the exaggerated swagger of a malnourished cuck before gently slamming down a rare number 50 Muscle Man Funko Pop on the scrap metal siding counter as the whole of the commons stop in an amazed silence at the recognition of a true aristocrat. Or they'll laugh at you, lynch you and your wife's family, and attempt to convert vinyl plastic into nutritious sustenance. In short, Funko Pops are not soulless, rather they are the antithesis of soul, a soul black hole if you would, or as the kids call it these days, brimstone. Now, obviously for such a popular franchise,
Please clap.
they just had to make a video game on it. Funko Fusion, a third-person action game that is sometimes a Lego game-like experience and is sometimes a Limbo of the Lost-like experience when the game decides you deserve punishment.
Who are you?
Oh, faggots the name, and cooking faggots me game.
It was made by 1010 Games, a British game company in Warrington that was founded by John Burton, who previously founded Travelers Games and TT Studios, while also being a designer and quite often a director for most of the LEGO games that were ever made. Now you would think that someone who worked on all those games would know what needs to be done here, but it seems like that is just not fucking true. To put it bluntly, this game flopped hard. A commercial failure that was so bad, IGN gave it a 4 out of 10. Hell, I bet most of you have never heard of this game, let alone knew that it came out a year ago, last September. I certainly didn't until I happened to do some research, and the last game he worked on seems to be Funko Fusion, which alerted me to the existence of this cultural Necronomicon. As soon as I was aware of it, I just knew I had to play this dog shit, but how bad is it really? Is it so bad that AVGN would create a brand new term to describe how awful it is?
This game looks like the Glitch Gremlin had a freaky fuck fest all over it!
Is common sense just wrong here? And this game is actually the David Lynchian masterpiece of a generation that got buried by the gaming Lugenpresse. Well, that's what this video is for, bozo. Now, unlike certain hacks who make reviews and videos on games they didn't actually beat, or in certain cases, practically didn't even play, I beat this game, start to finish. So my word is absolute and infallible. That means I can't be wrong if you're a fan of videos mentioned previously. That said, didn't play all the levels or 100% it because I do not hate myself.
It's false.
And I value my time at least slightly more than the game does. I will be explaining what I experienced in the order I experienced it while talking about whatever is relevant to whatever I decide to put on screen. I would put a spoiler warning up since this game goes through the plot of certain shows and movies, but they are told so poorly and abstractly that I wouldn't even know what was going on without outside assistance or having seen the show or movie the levels are about. Not helped by the fact that everybody looks the same. There will be timestamps of some sort as per usual. You'll likely won't skip to the end because it's pretty obvious what my verdict is going to be, and I trust you are more interested in the why of things, such as why does this game suck harder than Mossad? We're just going to jump in. This is Funko Fusion, probably synonymous with one of the 9 circles of hell.
There's no frickin' way they made a movie with Doctor Strange, the most esoteric, weird, rare character that basically normal people can't get into, but real Marvel heads
We begin by downloading the game through a trusted internet friend that has the game through completely non-dubious means. I am not paying for this. This isn't because I'm incapable of doing so, rather it is because my principles do not allow it. Spending money on something that promotes what you are supposedly against is hypocrisy, and the sort of person that does this casually, without cause, is in my opinion lacking in discipline, and dare I say it, has no real beliefs. Or they're just too retarded to do a simple Google search. These people tend to cope, saying things like, well, the game is good and all I really want is a good game, or you can just mod the stuff out you don't like, ignoring the fact that they paid full price for it like all the other cattle and are funding further slop to be produced. This is just one of several signs that the person you are listening to who claims they are based may in fact be extremely not based. Cringe even.
How to be a homosexual.
I can understand this for a multiplayer game that friends want to play with you. This is a single player game, and any friend that tells you to buy this would be considered your mortal enemy. Now, me personally, I got this from my good friend Rune, who, as far as I know, is an undocumented trans man immigrant from Quebec with BPD. So if anybody takes issue with me not giving $35 to a company that makes literal goy slop, you are just a racist and transphobe. Also, if you come to me demanding proof that this person exists or that they are any of the things I just described them as, I'm just gonna have to ask you to
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
What we actually start with is menus, asking me if I want to turn arachnophobia mode on, infinite lives off, or reduce the gore. I just want to mention now that this is a T for teen game. You then get to pick your starting world from a list of options, which form our main episodes for this game, with our decision determining which characters and levels we get access to first. They are Jurassic World, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Umbrella Academy, Masters of the Universe, or He-Man, Hot Fuzz, The Thing, and Battlestar Galactica. Again, this game is rated T for teen, and you have movies and shows that most Zoomer teens have never seen or even heard of. Who is this made for? I picked The Thing, as it is one movie out of the bunch I have seen, and I'm greeted with a multitude of problems. Most obvious one you can see is this strange jittering stutter that happens every second or two. This isn't an issue with the game, it's an issue with OBS and game capture causing this, which I only caught after the intro, meaning I had to go back and do the intro again with screen capture. Unfortunately for you, me, and my eyes, the fucking blur and shit frame rate are the game's fault. Unreal Engine 5, piece of shit, and optimization is for retards, literally. I would go on a conspiracy tangent about how shit optimization is in fact completely intentional as a way to make it so people have to upgrade their graphics cards, as most games can be run just fine on older cards and Nvidia needs more profits for shareholders, and that AI bubble can only hold for so long before it pops. I set the graphics to medium, but it was still laggy as shit. Turns out it was some frame gen setting that was in fact removing frames, and turning it off helped a little bit. The blur, however, is a complete fucking mystery of post-processing bullshit, as I turned off motion blur before even getting into the game, and it feels like a fake option because I swear there is no difference with it on or off. Maybe there is, but I was getting a headache playing this, at least for the start of my playthrough. Best thing I can say about it is that, like prison rape, you do get used to it.
Rape is rape?
As for the basic gameplay, it's pretty much a really unpolished imitation of a Lego game. Some have told me this looks like a cheap Roblox game mode. I cannot confirm, as I am not a child, nor do I prey upon children.
Rape?
What I can confirm is that the cameraman is the same from Concrete Jungle, but they got him off the booze and put him on higher dosages of Adderall. So you are always perfectly centered on the screen no matter what. There are basic attacks with melee weapons every character has, and a jumping slam attack that is objectively the best option for breaking items for money due to the extremely temperamental hitboxes of items in the environment. You can see that it drains a stamina bar, which is used to do a jump attack, a heavy attack, sprint, or dodge, making Funko Fusion a Souls-like, which is fitting since it is trash. Slam attacks are busted because they only drain stamina, they do not require stamina to use, so they can be spammed to break all the tiny bits of bullshit stacked on shelves you don't hit the first 5 times, while heavy attacks are useful for doing absolutely nothing besides slowing you down while you get shot at and take damage. You might be curious as to what the hell this is even meant to be that I'm picking up, and maybe you are curious as to what values correspond to what colors, and to that I say, it's vinyl, you pleb. You obviously don't understand the deepest lore of the Funkoverse. Oh, and for the values, I have no fucking clue. It never tells you, which is a consistent trend for this game, as you will see. The intro to this game has you come to this room, where you save this fox from their wage cage they've been locked into by
disgusting Kool-Aid creatures.
By shooting locks. Every character in this game has a gun, thanks to constitutional rights, and while they do have variations like rifles and shotguns and such, they really don't matter that much for reasons that will be clear later. You also switch your character at these package boxes, which generally have the characters from your current fandom on quick select, and the option to pick from more when the box is empty. Since I chose The Thing, I have the option to choose between whites and blacks, and end up going with the cook from the movie. Now, in spite of previous comments, I do not discriminate, and I display this by playing as Childs for most of the early game to demonstrate that I am an ally, and also mostly because he has a flamethrower that is useful for certain puzzles. We then get our first combat encounter, demonstrating the excellent AI and camera design, with a third of the screen dedicated to the Funko zone, since these giant fucking heads make over-the-shoulder gameplay impossible when you can't see what's in front of you. No joke, there are times when it is so bad that the crosshair is obscured by your guy's head. They should have known better. After saving the second and cook man, we are told to restore our health by drinking soda. Something backed by real-world science, and we are told we need a fuse, which introduces us to the 3D printer mechanic. You have blue, red, and green printers, with green giving you sodas and red giving you weapons, while the blue ones give you special gadgets that are important for getting through missions and doing objectives. You unlock these by bringing the properly colored item to a printer. Blue ones are easy to get, but the red and green ones are scattered throughout the levels and can sometimes be a complete bitch, literally, to get. We do this to unlock a bounce pad so we can open a door for a great cutscene.
Human suffering incredible by modern standards.
We are introduced to amazing and lovable characters like Proto, who is known for his crippling social anxiety and inability to function in public settings. Literally me, for real. Then we speak with the head honcho, Freddy Funko, whose first line I immediately mistook for a slur. My eyes tend to do that. Before an evil robot comes out of the pipe and turns into an edgy copy-paste of the guy we just talked to. Despite being evil, he is polite enough to wait for us to come to him to speak before referring to Funko Pops as dead-eyed and misshapen. Wonder if maybe somebody knew how absolutely ugly these designs were. He named himself Eddie, the writers are that original, before murdering a furry and fighting Mecha Freddy, breaking the crown into multiple pieces in a totally not at all shitty animation, while still winning a corrupted version of the crown and reanimated the furry into the tutorial boss. He is pretty basic, as he just stomps a lot while basic enemies spawn endlessly around him. This is meant to show you that you shoot weak spots to get purple stuff to drop, and then that goes in this too, which allows you to summon a big helper for the boss. It's not hard, definitely not because I had to do this twice, and then Eddie leaves while Freddy is put in stasis, which I'd rather be playing right now. The game then demonstrates the uniquely authentic, irreverent humor it is just absolutely dripping with by having this dog do the I am the captain now meme, or having Freddy doing the tis but a scratch meme. So funny. An absolute barrel of laughs, for someone on SSRIs maybe, because I didn't laugh, let alone chuckle once during this entire game. The writing is shit, and the humor doesn't go far behind reference to thing and basic slapstick. Very safe for a corporate environment. This is not surprising, since the two main writers consist of a literal who and Mike Becker, who is the guy that founded Funko before selling it off to become a sweatshop labor company selling trash, and honestly, I recognize that face and I don't trust it. We get a key which lets us go and start playing the actual game. How it works is you got 7 sets of 5 levels, one for each of the properties you can pick from. These levels are sandboxes with a main objective where you get a gold crown for getting to the end, but along the way there are 7 silver crowns you can find which can be converted into gold crowns. There are also sometimes cameo quests and cameo worlds. I will explain these when they come up later, but for now I want to lay the basic groundwork because pretty much you'll be doing the same things over and over for all 42 levels. We start with Husky Hustle, or Thing 1, as I'm not going to bother telling you the full names for levels since I don't remember any of them. We start out with a cutscene that resembles the start of the movie. It's alright, I guess, before our characters flee into a safe room. Every level starts you in a safe room with some printers. Usually the room the golden crown is found in, or a level will be the safe room for the following level. It's nothing really special. Also, full disclosure, about 80% of my time in this game was spent exploring, backtracking, and wandering, and it's pretty fucking boring. Part of this is because I gave an honest go at fully clearing levels, but most of it is just bad level design where maps are either way too big and empty or winding and confusing to navigate in some cases. I won't go over every single thing I did in every level because we would be here for hours, but I will use these first couple of levels to show how the gameplay is. For this first one, you have the entirety of the research space to explore, and the goal is to free and rescue 6 Huskies. It combines both of the bad level design tropes I mentioned, as the exterior is mostly empty expanse with nothing going on, and the interior of the building is a series of hallways that all look the same, with rooms that also all look the same. Graphically, it looks okay. Nothing particularly looks good for most of the game, and aesthetically is not pleasing or memorable, and it feels really off, but not in a way it can really pin down. Maybe it's the fact that all the furniture is cartoony enough to where it doesn't match the more realistic background environment. Maybe it's the general feeling of sterility, or it might be because of the shitty post-processing effects that make everything unpleasant to look at. Now, we were talking about Huskies, plural, which are all scattered around and require to solve fairly simple puzzles, usually requiring requiring fire, as that is the theme of this world or episode. As I will refer to each of the 7 main sets of levels from now on, you get access to propane tanks, which can explode and melt ice or red metal, which helps sometimes because despite the fact that Childs literally gets a flamethrower that does the same thing, the hitbox sucks and it can't hit things above or underneath you. Every episode has one specific gadget item it relies upon, and generally a lot of the side objectives will require to make use of these to fully clear levels. Here there isn't really much difficulty in getting things done since the puzzles are very simplistic, except when they aren't, because the game never explains to you how certain mechanics work, like how the camera gadget makes these hollow blue items activate, which is a mechanic used in only 2 levels, and you never get a tutorial for it, leading to either bash your head against the wall finding a solution or look it up. The combat difficulty is similarly bipolar. It's not difficult at all in this level, as you only ever face 2 or 3 guys with guns at a time. Not sure who these are meant to be. I am guessing that in this retelling the Norwegians are pulling a Red Dawn on us, and you can easily deal with them. There's the helicopter which tosses grenades that can't die, but if you shoot it enough it fucks off for a while. We'll get to it when we get to it, but it is very strange that some levels will have you constantly face enemies, while others will legit have 0 enemies. It makes that whole action label feel kind of like a lie, just a little bit. There is one exception to this, and that is the silver chest, which hold the silver crowns in each level. These chests have different conditions you need to fulfill to open, besides the ones that are hidden, and I use that in the loosest sense of the word. One of these silver chests you can find spawn in enemies you need to fight before they unlock, and the interesting thing about them is they can spawn in any enemy you have already encountered in the game, which ultimately just means they can either be easy as piss or somewhat annoying, as they only ever spawn a handful of guys at most. Other chests usually involve a puzzle of some kind, or for you to flip a series of switches quick enough, or for you to get enough money to put into a tube to spit out a silver crown, or for you to find all the collectibles in a level. Again, the difficulty ranges from baby tier in most cases to I am playing a 90s point and click without the manual or a guide in others. In addition to these, you have a weapon part and soda part you can find in each level, with each world having a soda or weapon you can unlock by collecting each part in the 5 levels. Sometimes the weapon part is in a chest, but other times it is on an enemy that flees from you. This will be relevant later. Now, are these important or useful? No, but also yes. The weapons are alright, but nothing is special or super powerful, and it is generally easier to go to one of these gold chests and get a weapon that way, since each gold chest spawns a random weapon, a random soda, and soda cans that can regen a bit of health but stack in one of your 5 inventory slots. Side note, why are there 2 sets of buttons dedicating to going right or left in this menu? Why do I need both the bumpers and the directional buttons to do that? Just make it one or the other. I almost want to say they did it so that you don't notice how little they put in for mechanics in this game, and they didn't want inputs that did literally nothing. The sodas, on the other hand, are quite useful and powerful, with effects like full health regen, infinite speed, infinite ammo, boosted fire speed, boosted running speed. The sodas are pretty cheap. They can be recycled to get money back, which you probably won't do unless you're right next to a recycling bin, and duration effects last 2 minutes, which is very generous. I know I've been showing a lot of this one level, and I will be finished soon, but I do want to discuss the characters real quick. This game describes itself as a festival of fandom, which is pretty sad and dystopian, since people who truly enjoy the things being included here probably won't like how they're implemented in this game. Fandom itself is fairly retarded, since there are not that many things that are worth getting this attached to. Traditionally, it's more religious texts and scripture, since, you know, fan is short for fanatic, like religious fanatic, who are honestly more productive than fanatics for shit like comic books and TV shows. These used to be your monks, your preachers, your crusaders, your jihadists. What the fuck are Batman fanatics gonna do? Dress up in silly costumes and stop crime? There are already people that do this, and I think they've legitimately done more for crime rates than Batman has ever done. But what does that have to do with this game? Absolutely nothing. They couldn't even get Batman in here, so they got Invincible instead. You got about 60 different characters, which sounds like a decent roster. Each one has a stat sheet with 3 stats going from 1 to 5, with damage, speed, and stamina being 3 stats. Some of these characters have special abilities that are needed to pass certain obstacles and do specific puzzles, which is standard for these sorts of games. However, a good number of characters are locked behind DLC, but at least they are cheap and reasonably priced, right?
Pay me or you're fucked, loser. Pay me or you're fucked, loser.
What's your PayPal?
Pay me or your life is done, loser. Pay me, Marty.
What's your PayPal?
Pay me, Marty. Pay up, Marty. Pay up, Nick. Right now, Nick. Right now, Nick. I'll tell your girlfriend, Nick. I'll tell your girlfriend, Nick. Pay the fuck up!
You know, it's strange that the cheapest DLCs are the ones that give money to charity. Not that you would even know that the money actually goes to charity, you're just going off of their word that it does. These are all overpriced pieces of shit, and pretty much not worth getting, period, because the thing is that you are only ever going to use a handful of characters throughout this game, unless you like having your time wasted. And I do mean handful, as you probably only only need 4 distinct characters to get through the whole game. Could be a bit wrong on that. Unlike every other LEGO game where you have 1 to 3 AI buddies you can swap between, you are on your own. So every time you need to swap a character, you need to go to these boxes, hit them until you can freely select your guy, and then deal with the extremely choppy performance of this laggy ass character select menu while you get who you need. Now, you can favorite characters to make it slightly easier to access them, but A, this is pointless if you are using someone from the top of the list, since the favorites list is at the bottom and this menu is pain to operate, and B, you can only favorite 5 characters. Not joking. Doesn't help that there is no map or any marker to tell you where these change stations are. It really all just feels like padding. The fact that they are asking you to pay $5 for Bob fucking Ross, who has no special abilities and only serves to clog up the character menu, and sometimes $10 for 2 characters, is just insulting. Well, you have like 4 guys from each of the 7 properties I mentioned, some secret secondary characters like shit like Five Nights at Freddy's, Child's Play, Megan, which I've never fucking heard of, and Knight Rider, which I have heard of, but I would bet money that most teenagers have no fucking clue what that is, and Voltron. There are obviously more. There's even free DLC, but I'm sure the one that caught your eye, if you were paying close attention, is the Team Fortress 2 DLC. You can play as your favorite characters, like Scout, who is fast, so they got that bit right. You have Medic, who is useless because his medigun only matters in co-op, and this isn't a real medigun since it is just Child's flamethrower that shoots blue flames. You have Engineer, who fires with a guitar and does nothing else. And you have Heavy, who uses a club that isn't from TF2 and is the biggest disappointment this game has. I found a minigun from a chest that worked properly, but they decided that you shouldn't be allowed to have fun with this one. It honestly feels like they never played TF2 and just got all their information from the promotional trailers for the characters. Overall, the characters are just boring in general, since only those that deviate from a normal shape stand out with their character models. I'm not sure how you have characters this detailless in a game like this. Legos have all the same frame and basic structure with sticker textures on them, but are somehow both more interesting and more emotive than any Funko Pop. They don't even have mouths on these fucking things or any way to show expression besides eyebrow movement. Sackboy from Little Big Planet blows these fuckers out of the water. And speaking of Sackboy, you can't even make your own character or customize your character. There was something about different outfits you can put characters in, but I never even figured out how you do that in this game. You are stuck with whatever they give you, and you will be happy while playing your MK Ultra Therapy game. I've been going too long on this. Pretty much what happens after you get the 6 Huskies, which you can't shoot or interact with, is that you then need to go get the 7th one, which leads to a cutscene that is completely appropriate for a teenage audience.
Oh, that's smart.
We save the 7th Husky, get a fun key, and then use it to access the Golden Crown, which ends the level. There's a lot more than that going on, but again, 42 levels, and I cannot bring myself to go into further details, and I am not hopped up on the amphetamines required.
Chat, it's me, Carl. Chat.
When you return to the hub, you get the prompt and use the Golden Crown to access the next floor down, which can also be chosen freely and is a bit cool since I think the hub structure changes based on what order you pick the worlds in. There's also this gravity elevator that's a bit faster than walking up and down, but doesn't take you to the top floor, which means it's still shit. I pick Hot Fuzz and to play as Blondie here before going to the first level. Ignore the part where I switch to the fat guy. We get a cutscene where Eddie murders a guy like in Terminator and steals his body before telling you to go after a goose. Every world basically has Eddie hijack the antagonist and hijinks like this. I never watched Hot Fuzz, but outside sources told me that they do in fact go on a goose chase in this movie. The map is a lot bigger in this one. The game wants me to go follow the goose, but I exercise my right to player choice to discover that this game has no fucking QA testing. First thing you'll notice is that all the cars look like baby toys. There are no drivable vehicles in this game, even though most of these maps really could use one. I fuck around in this parking lot trying to figure out this puzzle, which I can't do because I don't have the amp. But I don't know that I need the amp because there is no icon telling you that it requires the amp. You have to have played the world where you can get the amp to know where you need to use the amp, and it's not like there's a manual or anything you can open that tells you what shit does or anything like that. I'm gonna take this moment to talk about music. It's really a mixed bag since it ranges from somewhat decent to fucking annoying, but the issue is that I can't play most of it because it's all licensed. I assume it's all licensed at least. The track you were hearing now is the boss track. It might be one of the few songs made for this game. I I think it's actually quite decent, but the other tracks, not so much. Remember, this is the same composer as Concrete Jungle, and while I would say this is a downgrade, it's not entirely within his control. I think the issue is the inconsistency and laziness when it comes to the tracks. Like, the first Thing level was alright, because it's that slow beat from the intro on loop. It isn't obnoxious, and it's a decent track, so you don't mind it being looped as much, even with the length of these levels. This level uses what I think is the main theme of Hot Fuzz, but only like a minute-long loop of it, and it gets very old very fast, especially when there is no combat in this level outside of the one silver chest, which probably contributes to the headache I was getting at the start of the game. Now, not to go too much into sound design, it's mediocre. I've heard many of these sounds before. I really have no comment. Since I can't really show off any of the game's music, I've instead replaced it with superior choices that I think you will appreciate.
They don't understand the things I say on Twitter.
After realizing I clearly can't do shit in this area, I talk to a woman that makes a fascist joke. This is from the movie. Before wandering around to find a lot of, well, I asked about this again, never seen Hot Fuzz. I will just state it plainly, there are only whites in that movie. This is a rural English village, yet I'm seeing multiple brown and black Funkos of color, if you will, that are just loitering around, not doing anything. Very realistic. You can't even interact with them like in a Lego game, where you could beat them to death, and I mean that for every NPC in this game, which just makes the world feel sterile and dead, and like you have no impact on it. It doesn't help, and it's really annoying how most objects also kind of act like this, because you hit them, they give you vinyl, but most of them don't have a damaged or destroyed state, so they just look like normal, meaning it's very easy to forget if you got your money from an object or not in these big ass levels, and it's just not that fun. Let me break shit. Oh yeah, this store has no furniture loaded in. Amazing work there. I go to this mansion area and waste a shitload of time because I get tips to put a camera on the X, because you unlock CSI cameras you use to fill up bubbles at crime scene in this world. But I feel the game is fucking with me because there is no X anywhere, and it's telling me to put the camera on the X. What I don't know is that you are meant to follow the swan here. I know I called it a goose earlier, don't care, I will do it again, so you can investigate a body. But the issue is that you are already told how to use the camera twice by this point, and this fucking hint thing is behind a gate door when the X in question is just before the gate door, and none of this matters because if the camera is close enough to the crime scene, it just works. What doesn't work is this game's coding, and you will recognize it as soon as you talk to this sick kid that pukes in this fountain, which is the worst looking and most nonsensical fountain I've ever seen in a game. He is just set dressing, but the problem is this puke sound effect clearly was never coded to have a maximum audible radius or something like that, because every 15 or 30 seconds you're going to hear this sound effect at its normal volume no matter where on the map you are, and you'll be hearing it for the rest of the level alongside the shitty loop track, making me feel pretty peeved considering I deal with this for half a fucking hour. After a whole lot of nothing, I start progressing towards the side of the map I was meant to go to first and find some collectibles. In addition to weapon and soda parts, every level has 3 specific collectibles to find, each of which unlocks something when you find all of them. One of these collectibles is Amber from Jurassic Park, not that gay ass world shit, and another are these Foxo body parts because you need to revive the fox bitch from the start of the game with them. These can be picked up easily. The Amber can be a real pain to find sometimes because of how small it is. I then discover that the flamethrower physics are scuffed before using the camera to recreate a brutal murder. Then there's another reminder that this game is made for teens and young children. Why did they not just go all the way with an M rating? It's adults buying these pieces of shit anyway. I mean, we know it's because of money, but at least maybe you could do something if it was M rated. We return to the house, we can see a spectacular set piece.
You need to move on from losing your father back there. You need closure.
Searching through the rubble, I find our third collectible, fried chicken. No, I'm not joking. KFC buckets are a collectible in this game. Colonel Sanders is in this game. I have never seen such odd product placement before, and it is central to completing the game fully. I don't have time to process this because we have one last murder scene to investigate. It is clearly meant to be like that Dead Space thing where they show new enemies behind glass windows that was copied by shit games like that Chronos game that just came out, which is a poor man's Callisto Protocol. Pluber are hacks and have never made a single original or even good game, and I will die on that hill. One small issue, I already unlocked the door to the flower shop, so this happens.
Help! Police! A madman is trying to kill me over $5. Get your ass back here!
I need to remind you guys that everything I've been talking about has been just the first 3 hours of the game, and each level is about 30 minutes to an hour long or longer. I do not know if I'm going to survive this shit.
Why are you...
Then you are gay. Not a big surprise.
I'm going to try and speed things up a bit here since there is way too much to go over. I go to the second thing level. This guy eats way too many hamburgers, which is extremely funny. The Huskies are in trouble, so gotta go check that out. If you thought the last level was bad, this one doesn't get music. Instead, you get the blaring alarms and dogs barking from the movie on loop indefinitely until you go to the objective, where you need to fight the dog thing, our first real boss.
Come on, college boy!
Great scene transition, unit. After almost DSPing right at the start, by the way, you should tell Phil to play Funko Fusion, maybe you will have a great time with it. Sure, it's boring as hell, but so are all the streams. The fight is pretty much a cakewalk. You shoot some dog enemies, some glowing Wii spots, then enjoy the amazing hitboxes before beating the boss. For some reason, the music comes back. It's from the hub area, so nothing new. Not much else to note, but I noticed there is a dinosaur character that dual wields, and I try him for a bit. I should mention that this is a completely legit copy, so I have access to holiday DLC characters you normally get at the end of the game, who have unique abilities. Freddy here can break cosmic vinyl, which the game never explains what that is or what it looks like. I thought at first it was this weird glowing door, and surprise, surprise, that was a correct assumption, but for some reason, the door doesn't register or give feedback that I am doing anything to the door when it should when I shoot it, so I end up just not knowing how to get through these doors for a good long while until I literally have to look it up out of curiosity. This is what I mean by the game feels extremely obtuse, and there are plenty more examples of it. Before we leave the level, two more things. First, dog shit mechanic. It's nighttime and there are flares. It is cold outside of the flares, so you just slow down and drop shit, but you need to carry items between these flares, and there's a certain spot where you need to bring a bounce pad as well as a key card to access areas. I constantly keep dropping the item the moment it is picked up because of the freeze mechanic, and start losing my shit until I get it through by inching my way forward. The point is, this is an example of another trend where it feels like sometimes you have to exploit the game and do things in unintended ways to get shit done. Second, that key card opens up a door, taking us to our first cameo quest. Basically, every world has one hidden side character from a unique IP that will have quests and random levels for you to do, rewarding you with a weapon part for their related weapon. This one is Megan. She is fucking cancer. Her gimmick is she is a boss fight that does the same shit over and over. Shooting, charging, throwing bombs, being invincible for 90% of the time until an arbitrary point in the fight, and while it's not bad at first, by the end she is just plain awful. Not hard, mind you, because she can just get stuck on a level and a terrain and the walls become a non-threat with minimal effort. Now, this leads to another extremely tedious aspect of this game, and I will just lay it out plainly. You gotta replay every level. It's unavoidable. If you want to complete this game fully, then you need to repeat pretty much every level because of how the cameo quests work. You see, this is where you unlock Megan encounters, but she is in 6 other levels after this point, and if you hadn't done this first fight here, all those areas would be empty arenas because she doesn't spawn until her quest is activated, and this goes for the other 6 cameo quests, and some don't get unlocked until the 4th level of their respective worlds. That is Giga Brain design. 3rd thing level, you find the map and you need to follow it, which takes you to the Norwegian base and the spaceship, which are within walking distance of the research station. When McCready, in the movie, has to fly there during the day and good weather. Don't even try to bring up how this sequence normally happens before the kennel dog thing incident and the game is telling the story in the wrong order. You just wouldn't understand it. This is honestly probably the worst way to experience any of the movies or shows they put into this pile of shit. The gimmick is you gotta shoot flares and barrels to light them up, fight some monsters, do some puzzles, and admire how the text scaling is dog shit and the text is clipping out of the speech bubble. They really couldn't help themselves here. I find the burn pit from the movie, around which there are some stronger enemies that spit goo at you. I think there is some infection mechanic, but I honestly wouldn't know. What I do know, but absolutely do not understand, is what happens when you interact with this fire pit.
I don't think we're going to make it out of here alive.
This was my first death, and I thought the game crashed. There is zero way they didn't know that this launches you. I mean, they put a health pickup right on top of it. When you die, you drop all your shit, turn into a ghost, and gotta pay vinyl to respawn at a box. I get my stuff, and I decide to tempt fate again.
Am I supposed to be impressed? That the best you can do? Help! Help!
Luckily, the game glitched out, as I didn't take any freezing damage this time, and when I got back, the sound that plays when you were freezing was still playing near where I died initially. I really have to ask if they even play tested the game before shipping it, or if they even have anybody that knows how to fix bugs. Nothing notable really happens besides this puzzle. It is a number puzzle based on a note in a room you cannot access without a specific character, and I'm going to preemptively say fuck this guy. Doesn't even matter though, since I just brute force it, thank God. Thing 4. This scene of the thing simulation plays out before a guy decides to firebomb the whole station. Doesn't happen like this in the movie, obviously. We can at least see Funko anatomy, notice the lack of any sort of chin or functional jaw. You just chase Blair throughout the level while he throws bombs and propane tanks at you before setting most of the building on fire, before a cutscene plays showing a classic scene where the doctor gets his arms ripped off. But I'm pretty sure Blair was already in solitary when this went down. It kind of blue balls you since it looks like it's introducing a boss, but it's actually introducing an annoying enemy that jumps on you and requires button mashing to get it off. You go outside, another cutscene where there's an actual mini boss, which is just the same gimmick as the dog fight. You fight this guy on a saucer, you win, you go back to the start of the level. I should really mention now the amount of backtracking this game makes you do. It's very egregious in some levels where you have collectible chests at the start of the level, but there are no shortcuts back at the start. The last collectible is at the end of the level, so you have to go all the way down to the end of the level, then back to the start to fucking get the chest activated, and then back to the end so you can finish the level. Very, very good design. It's totally not meant to waste your time. We are now on Thing 5, final level. It's not anything special, even as the final world boss. You use propane tanks to burn floorboards, you shoot mobs, you shoot weak spots, you fill up a jar full of purple stuff, and so you can summon the thing from the movie cover before you win and talk to Eddie, who lets you claim the world crown. When you go back to the main hub, you can dump the crown into a chute, which lets you see some of Eddie's amazing backstory.
Life is pain. It is chaos and rage, fear and abandonment. But from all this, there comes a
grand and intoxicating innocence.
You may notice that unlike modern LEGO games, there is zero voice acting in this game with 2 exceptions, which is very bizarre. One of these is Kellen Goff as Freddy Fazbear and Foxy. Apparently, even though spoiler, these characters don't talk in the game, he's been in hundreds of roles in many hit titles such as Yandere Simulator, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the anime, Five Nights at Freddy's, Yakuza, and Slitterhead. The other voice actor, who is the voice for Eddie here, is... wait, what?
Hello? I like money. Bullshit! No fucking way! Not this plastic prick!
I think it's at this point that I realized the optimal way to play this game is to unlock every world so you get all the characters from them, and then do the first level of each world before doing anything else so you can unlock all the gadgets, to minimize the amount of wasted life drained by this fucking parasite of a product. First of these that I do is the Scott Pilgrim intro. No clue what's going on story-wise, but this first level is not too bad, not too big, the music is pretty nice, and the gimmick revolves around the amp, which can be used to break cracked glass or make a bridge across gaps. You fight 4 of these hipster chicks that throw fireballs, easy stuff, then I go outside and spend way too much time on this laser puzzle. I'm almost wondering if I'm breaking the puzzle to complete it because there's this portal here that I don't have the portal item for yet, but otherwise nothing really remarkable happens in the level. The Jurassic World level, on the other hand, is kind of ass. Your whole thing is you gotta take out the spitter dinos. They do a lot of damage and make your screen go black. You have constant attacks from velociraptors and pterodons and goons with guns. The raptors are among the worst enemies in this game because they knock you down until you mash buttons enough to get back up. It is here where I access my first cameo world, which are secret one-off levels based around certain IPs scattered about, and one can be found in one of the levels for each world. They require a mixture of gadgets and abilities to unlock. Here it needs the amp and some rumor ability I know nothing about because it is only explained in the Umbrella Academy world, and no joke, every time I need to write down that name, I completely forget it's called Umbrella Academy and think it's called Umbrella Company or something else like that. Get a better name. This cameo level is for Back to the Future, which I did watch.
There she is, man. There's a bitch.
And the goal is to get all the tires for the time machine and to help Doc with the lightning. I will be honest, I did not play all the cameo levels, since I was burning out hard by the end of this game, and I only did 3 of the 7 there are, with me skipping The Mummy, Jaws, Shaun of the Dead, and Invincible. In retrospect, I probably should have played them, since these levels are the most bipolar in terms of enjoyability, but that said, it's 1 to 2 on tolerable levels, and this one's dog shit. Biggest issue is map is way too fucking big, and I don't know what to do. This stems from a mixture of a lack of visual clarity that something is interactable, and a lack of direction. These guys with the jagged speech bubbles want you to use the girl character that does rumors on them to get an item or get into a specific area, but again, there is no cue or any sort of visual design to tell you that you need the one specific character to do that. You just need to know it works like that. Never mind that the other fucker from the same world that gets called upon everywhere, number 5,
syringe needle sandwich,
with his dumb warp gimmick, interacts with arrows that tell you the specific character you need to have equipped, and when we see more of it, the glowing gold golden items will tell you that He-Man is needed for them. So why not tell me that the chick is needed here? Why not just show an icon of the character or item I need to do the puzzle? Why not give me a map so I know what things I have yet to do in these huge ass maps? I mostly wander through this level. It's here where I Google and find out that Freddy does in fact break the weird glowing doors, and it's where I deal with a bunch of dumb level design BS. For example, this puzzle requires a laser turret I don't have yet, and for me to use
Number 5.
But because I don't have it, I try to get creative so I can reach this fire escape and this chest, which is on fire when it's pissing rain, and it's made of metal. My plan later just ends up being to go through this gauntlet of amps and jump pads you have to set up one piece at a time to make a bridge over, and I will say this is one of the few enjoyable moments of this game, as I feel like I outsmarted it by getting to an objective through my own strategy. If the game was more of this and less of Funko Fusion, then I think it would have been way better. When you get all the objectives done, you are blindsided with a timed objective. You got a minute to get this weather vane back on the top of the building, which I try to do, but I get stuck. This makes the timer run out and gives me the message, try again, maybe you will do better.
On my shoulder!
No homeboy for her tonight, man.
I don't think this game has the power or the punch to start getting passive aggressive with me. I do want to mention some really annoying things with these cameo levels. You have to activate them by grabbing a cameo crown that ends the mission, but that means you cannot grab the level crown that unlocks the next level, which means every level with these cameo crowns has to be done twice, wasting even more time. Each level does unlock a character and a second one if you get every silver crown, but since the characters all blend together, I don't really try to go for that. For the next level, I do He-Man 1. The He-Man levels are the nicest looking and fit the best with the character design. The music is alright. The gimmick involves these portals, which can be linked with other portals so you can shoot through them or walk between them. It's not really that bad. There's a lot of combat in this world. You need to take out enemies before Skeletor shows up, and you get the other gimmick they introduce, a He-Man summoning device that plays his theme song, which I do like.
By the power of Grayskull!
After that is more Megan, still annoying and more bad programming.
And the final hours of my life.
Battlestar Galactica 1 is next. Gonna say right now, I know almost nothing about Battlestar Galactica. I only ever get told about Star Trek, but we start off pretty strong.
You stupid Nick!
The gimmick is laser turrets that fill up meters and an escort mission that is really not that notable. The enemies are annoying since some require being shot before being meleeed multiple times to kill them when they have shotguns, and I have to backtrack a fuck ton for collectibles and security card related bullshit. Two things I will say is that this is where I found out these hollow blue objects need a camera to activate. No, the game never tells you this is something that the camera does, and the music is pretty annoying since it is an action track in a level with not that many enemies and a stinger that gets more and more irritating the longer you play the level for. Umbrella Academy 1 is a strange level. I've never heard of this show and I still refuse to watch it. I know it features entities and an Ellie lookalike, and this I never pick them since only
Number 5
and Allison here are worth using with their abilities. You probably wouldn't know that's her name. Anyways, it doesn't matter. This level is you fighting two hitmen, but the game pulls a sneaky on me and plays a licensed song that A, sound pretty good, but B, cannot be played too long for obvious reasons. And no, it's not because, oh no guys, I got the demonetization, I can't make the money. It's because I don't know if a track will get this video blocked until after I upload it, and I don't want to have to go through the slow ass upload process multiple times. I bully the shitty AI and get to this guy who requires the gramophone to cheer up. The gramophone is barely used outside of this world, but with every gadget I need unlocked, I can finally start going down the worlds one by one. I decide to go down the Battlestar levels. The second one is mostly uneventful aside of it being a big difficulty spike. You fight hordes of enemies, including the ones with shotguns and heavy guns that you need to get really close to do real damage to, and you got like 15 to 20 enemies of each wave. Honestly, one of the shortest levels for me. Battlestar 3 has you repairing a robo-dog while you wander through visually identical hallways endlessly until you gain muscle memory. This also has a very shitty puzzle with a red prism you need to shoot lasers through to fill up these gauges, but getting the right angle to do them all is a massive pain in the ass. There isn't really much else of note. Nope. The fourth level is more of the same, except there are fires, aliens that spit the same shit those spitter dinos spit that muck up your screen, and now you gotta rescue everyone. There is one puzzle that requires you to have a printed laser weapon, since it is in an area only
Cockroach
can access, but he doesn't have a laser weapon, and the recipe for the laser pistol only unlocks from getting all the parts in this world, so I obviously skipped that shit. I do find a cameo character here, Voltron, but my eye is drawn to a strange glowing space in the wall, so I just have to shoot it.
Slavery conspiracy over 300 years ago.
Yep, serves me right, don't it? No clue why it crashed my game. It doesn't do anything. It literally has nothing to do with anything, and I didn't bother re-recording. We will just come back to Voltron in later time. Final level has us fighting the boss alien after I dick around with Megan again and a very janky puzzle. It's a bunch of laser puzzles with tons of enemies and laser beams causing trouble. Quite hectic, and more so when the bombs are involved, but we beat them and we get more deepest lore.
I feel, I burn, I blister, but the conflict within me screams.
I decided to do Hot Fuzz for the second set of levels next. This one is about following a guy into the ruins in the same map from the first level. It's really a massive waste of time hunting for tiny ass collectibles on this big ass map where even if you did everything right, you will still need to walk all the way back to the start and then back to the end. Good level design. This guy says he wants to make Sanford great again. It's from the movie, and then we get jumped by cultists and snipers. We do find Voltron again, which lets me explain what his deal is. He pretty much needs you to find a big trans crystal and carry it back to him, but you don't know where it is, and enemies spawn constantly. These guys are particularly annoying because they fly up and slam back down on you wherever you are. The rest of this level is me hunting for the last collectible for 15 minutes before I look up a video, and it turns out it was in this corner the whole time.
I know that you wouldn't do that because I'm right here and I will kill you and make it look like an accident.
Level 3 is a series of tedious boss fights where you get to kill those mysteriously swarthy Brits from earlier, but my schizo sense is tingling and I somehow feel like the enemies are way less diverse in this level than they were in the first level. Level 4 is more of the same, where you chase this Simon guy into a supermarket where this very well-made cutscene plays. At least this boss is more interesting, having to get him to ram into the corners. The last thing of note is the cameo quest. It's Chucky from Child's Play, and he sucks dick. He hides in containers all over the map. You gotta find him and open them so he can stab you unless you react quick enough to dodge. He's invincible for a duration over and over. Not fun. Level 5 is the final boss. You kill Megan, you fight Spinny Guy. He dies in an epic Family Guy moment. Then you fight a bigger guy, and then you win and hear more lore.
What have we found lost in the shadows? I will no longer.
Okay, He-Man. Second level is just a bunch of fighting where you have the worst, most unplayable puzzle in the game. No clue how to get this working, it's par for the course. Third level is mega shit, possibly one of the worst levels in the game. Constant volcano rocks are falling from everywhere, but the warnings for the impact zones go away a second before they land, so they pretty much are not helpful and they may as well not be there. I make the mistake of starting Voltron's quest and can't find the crystal anywhere. While this happens, the guy with the weapon part is on his despawn timer, which I hadn't mentioned because it happened very often, but this one is special because the game is made by assholes. I tried to do the switch puzzle, but the game is made by assholes who can't code. I turned to He-Man, but no music plays at all because the game is made by assholes who can't code. Are you noticing a trend here? Level 4 is special, an escort mission relying on portal puzzles. It makes you backtrack to the start when you get all the collectibles because the game is made by It has a cameo quest of Xena Warrior Princess, where you help this powerful female girl boss who goes with the tried and proven tactic of being seen and not heard, or useful, while you protect her from getting dominated by basic NPC enemies. And all goes well till we get to Beastman, who unfortunately breaks the game. He's meant to throw bombs at you, you're meant to get behind these crystals so he even blows up the crystals so you can get He-Man, but for some reason he just doesn't do anything and I can't progress with the level. I try all kinds of ways to get around this, but the game is made by assholes that can't code. You probably noticed how that prompt from the Voltron quest is still on this screen a level later. You already know why that is, but it might be why the game is bugged, and I was very tired of this part. Level 5 is a boss fight. I don't care.
This place is delirium, undecided on what it wants to be. Factory or landfill. morgue, or museum.
Wake up. Joe Biden, wake up.
Face calls to me.
Umbrella Academy, level 2. It's an escort mission for a gigantic pussy that dances like he shit himself. To start the Knight Rider quest, it's a race that is best won with a super speed soda. Map, as usual, way too fucking big. Level 3 is you looking for clues in a much smaller level. There's an interesting puzzle where turning on the right lights makes this clue spawn, but I swear I was doing a random pattern based on a different painting I wasn't meant to do and solved the puzzle anyways. I fuck off to go do the Scott levels. The second of those is a boss fight against a skater and his clones, because from my limited knowledge, the plot is about a man that must murder all the people his girlfriend slept with, and it's a long list by mid-2000s standards, which it itself is long by non-horror standards. You need to get him out of his RV, which is extremely important because I beat the boss and get the key, and then I need to get him out of his RV. In the level 3, you need to kill more of these people you are sloppy seconds to, while also getting him out of his RV. You do so by crushing a lesbian to death who has amazing AI and forcing a vegan to eat the Colonel's chicken. Speaking of the Colonel, I was curious as to what those KFC buckets were meant to unlock. They unlock Colonel Sanders, maybe a different outfit, but to get Mecha Colonel Sanders, you need 250 points as a KFC rewards member. I fucking love modern society. Also, one more for the road, T for Teen game here. Level 4 is a shit show. You got all these ice guys that explode on contact. You have this laser puzzle that requires super speed to do without issues. You have a switch puzzle that seems impossible without a lot of preparation and a speed soda. You have this endlessly looping punk song that grates my fucking ears, and I swear it has the jump scare sound effect of security breach embedded within the song. You unlock the Mega Man quest here, which is an escort mission, but Mega Man is retarded. Level 5 has a boss, and it's... While I'm stuck up here, which will be for 4 minutes, so I got plenty of time, I'm going to clear something up since I really don't talk about anything political yet. I am a huge consumerism enjoyer. Classical consumerism. Not this mega gay modern consumerism that's completely ruined modern society and innovation by turning people into literal cattle for megacorps to harvest bountiful heaps of money from people that are brainwashed into thinking that this is normal. Modern consumerism is most easily understood as consume product and get excited for new product. It is the result of a society with no spirituality trying to substitute its absence with materialism, which in turn only creates cults around products and companies through fandom, brand loyalty, and trend chasing. What is made can only be described as products, as their main function is to generate money through any means necessary, using techniques like price gouging and monopolization, planned obsolescence, and corner cutting. It is by nature exploitative and degenerative to society and culture. Now, classical consumerism is different because profit is not the goal. Bettering society is the goal. Essentially, goods and items that are considered luxury goods should not be luxuries exclusive to the rich, but instead should be readily available and affordable to the common man so that everybody may reap the benefits access to these items brings. You make good and reliable products while paying workers good wages, and then invest the profits made from this enterprise into making more factories, which allows you to make more goods and hire more workers, making said goods more available and cheaper while giving more people work and raising their wages. It's a concept that is meant to benefit everybody involved, and it's how you get a car that can last generations with proper maintenance, where modern cars break down or become unusable because an outsourced IT worker fat-fingered their keyboard and now your shiny is a brick that needs to be towed. This sort of thinking is attributed to two major figures, among several others. The first being Henry Ford, which is obvious with his Model Ts, and the other is...
Welcome to Hitler's house. That's me!
I don't know where I was going with this. One positive is we do get to summon the Scott here, so I guess that's nice.
I've been watching you, Freddy. There is power. Real power hidden away in your third-rate trinket factory. Your crown, it's intoxicating.
How could you be so naive?
I am just going to skip over Jurassic World. It's pretty boring and very little happens. The cameo quest is literally just find all the amber collectibles. This is a guitar puzzle I have zero clue on how to complete. The final boss is literally retarded and gives me a shitload of money for shooting it constantly. Barely memorable anyways. Forgetting that even happened. 4th Umbrella level, it's dog shit. It's terribly designed bosses with bad hitboxes and obnoxious mechanics, as well as an insta-kill death pool you have to navigate using a finicky dash option. Awful. awful. The final umbrella is where a real final boss is, Megan, who takes 10 minutes to kill, because every time you fight her, she never gains new moves or gets better AI, she just takes longer to kill because she stays invulnerable for longer. The other final boss is Eye Strain. Turns out Eddie is Freddy, because Freddy lost his grandma, meaning all these people died because of him. Good riddance, honestly. This is pretty much the end, but I chose to do 2 final cameo levels just because I had to. The first is Five Nights at Freddy's, which I'm not lying when I say this might be the best designed level in the whole game. I don't mean it's fun, it's very tedious, but the map isn't sprawling or maze-like. There's an interesting gimmick where it gets harder the further you get in. You have to use cameras to find these coins, which require these batteries, but Chica throws cupcakes that knock the batteries out of them, so you have to constantly go around and deal with that, and later on Bonnie and Freddy teleport and you gotta deal with that. But besides the exploding cupcake spam to get when you enter the kitchen, I wasn't getting mad at the level, so that's a plus. Unfortunately, the next cameo level is the exact opposite, and maybe the worst level in the game. The movie it's based on is Nope. Yep, it's Nope. For some reason, map is fucking massive and empty, I get disoriented all the time, and then the finale is you have 10 minutes to get this balloon unhooked, but it takes longer than that to figure out how everything works and what you need to do, and failure means you gotta start all over, and it takes me almost 40 minutes to do this. I regret pretty much everything. We made it to the final boss. Is it any good?
No.
This is a 20-minute, 8-stage boss fight, and that is 20 minutes if you use sodas for infinite ammo and full healing, which you will need to survive. It is pretty much a compilation of every guy you summon for every boss fight in the game. First one is a T-Rex that stomps.
That's it?
Then you gotta put batteries into these lasers. Then you fight the Thing, whose gimmick is flashbanging people who are playing the game late at night. Even if you're looking away from them, you need to become He-Man to break these things, really fucking my pacing up right now, before you get Robo-Dog with laser beam eyes, who is defeated by walking away from the laser beams. Then you have to melt Tesla coils. Then the He-Man Jaguar thing. He coughs out hairballs and blows you back into them. Then you use the turret. Before the Swan appears, all he does is drop mines in random locations, mainly wherever I am not currently standing. Have to swap with Scott to keep playing the game. Then Nigga Scott shows up. His powers, he inverts all your controls. More coils, Monkey Man that shoots laser at middle of the arena posing no threat, need laser turret before he turns into a blob that you beat to death, before triggering the ending cutscene.
That's it?
Yep, that's it. That's your reward. Seeing that and this cringe-ass ending sequence with dabbing and soy jack pointing. Overall, was this game as bad as I thought it would be? Absolutely. It was not fun. Anytime it got close to being fun was incidental. Most of my time was searching for shit and wandering looking for what I needed. The gameplay is basic and shitty. It's buggy and unpolished, yet they are releasing more and more paid DLC for it. It's entirely soulless, and I didn't laugh once in a game that is meant to be comedic. I'm not even going to bother with a rhetorical question. You should legit never touch this piece of shit, even if it were free. Any Lego game would be better. There are probably Roblox game modes that would be superior, even with pedophiles included. This whole thing is basically a giant ad block that you play, and it just made me dislike everything involved even more. It ran like shit, played like shit, and generally was shit, and it's probably one of the worst games I have ever played. Is there really anything else to say? Well, that was Funko Fusion. Good riddance. I originally thought this would be something more funny bad, you know, something I could really just have a blast with, but it turns out I bit off a lot more than I could chew here. I still have plans for some other bad games, but I will try to avoid anything that is this long and monotonous if I can help it. A special thanks to everybody who watched this video and made it to the end. I was definitely trying not to go too far with some things, if you can believe that, and especially special thanks to the guys that shout out my Concrete Jungle video, like Xeno Chimera 2, and to others that have shouted me out like Retro Man. Go check them out and go watch the Concrete Jungle video if you haven't. You will enjoy it. I do have a few big things to announce for what is next. Firstly, the next video should be on something more enjoyable, thematically appropriate for this spooky month, and an indie game at that. Should be a refreshing break from all the slop and jank. Secondly, I recently created a second channel, Trashman Guy's Emporium, where I put up re-uploads of videos and content you can't see in the fine on YouTube or anywhere else even, you know, from the usual suspects. If you're into that and you've been looking for certain videos, give it a look. That channel will be linked in the description down below. And finally, last but not least, I'm going to be streaming in the near future, or at least attempting to. It's something I figure I could do for certain games that I think are fun or interesting, but I'm not planning to make dedicated videos on. Given the spooky season, it will most definitely be spooky games, but the first one I got planned will be something particularly scary, so stay tuned, or check the live section of the channel if you're watching this like a week after the video is out. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought of it down below. Hopefully I didn't make you want to jump off a bridge, and I will see all of you guys next time. Have a wonderful day.